me personally, I feel like if I had too many company-owned locations, I feel like I would be all in. And once I'm
Right.
all in on something, say it was corporate locations, it would be very hard for me to change gears and all of a sudden go to franchising. I think there's sort of a tipping point as a founder that we need to make a decision on what business we're in.
Exactly, exactly. And the bandwidth that you need to run a business and is really important. And so I know that it's going to take a lot of energy going towards my franchisees that I don't want to take away any more of that than I would need to already with my corporate location. So we're good right where we are.
Good for you. And what about territory size? What do you think that's going to be?
So right now it's a 3 mile radius. And so here in New York, that definitely is more than enough of space,
Yes.
um, more than enough. But that's where we're at right now.
Okay. And going back to like who your franchise owner is, have you thought about if you're open to multi-unit operators? Can somebody buy a multiple franchises, or are you looking for single unit operators right now?
Right now, we are offering it. However, my focus and preference is single unit operators at this time. And the reason for that is because I don't want to award locations and someone just, is awarded it and then they don't get it opened. That is not something that I want on the books. And then on
Sure.
top of that, I don't want an investor coming in and just dropping money in and saying, I'm going to open up several locations. And then I feel like with an investor like that, you might lose the heartbeat that's needed to make a real impact in a music school.
Good for you. I love that you know exactly what you want and what you want this to look like. That's fantastic. You don't always
Thank
see
you.
that with an emerging brand.
I feel like I've done a lot of due diligence and even I have a PhD literally in K through 12 studies and education, but I feel like I've gotten a master's degree so far in franchising and there's just so much information out there that I've loved learning about this totally new industry.
Well, you have the other PhD that I learned from a college basketball coach, and that's the PhD is passion, hunger, and driven.
I
I
love that.
see it in you. You have that PhD as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Thomas, tell me about you're new to franchising, certainly not new to this business, but what would you say one of your bigger surprises when you franchised your company? You weren't expecting this.
Uh, I would say I didn't expect it was so that there were so many different legalities to it. It's there's just so many different things that you never think about, and you don't know what you don't know until you get into it. But I think a pleasant surprise is that I didn't realize how giving people were in the franchise world. They share so much, and that's been a really, really great surprise.
Yeah, yeah. We talk about that probably every episode on how generous the community is. So I'm glad you've got a chance to experience that, and you'll do that more as you go to industry conferences and talking to other people. It is magical, this industry. It really, really is. And as for the legality, well, as a fellow New Yorker and trying to get approved in New York, yes, you you definitely you picked a state where it's not always easy to get approved and have to jump through a lot of hoops. But I'm glad you did it and you're in.
Yes.
And you'll see it as you grow. Of course, you're going to find that there's going to be states that you won't have those same challenges. But what I do love about franchising in particular is while I don't love regulation, of course, and I feel like I'm going to do the right thing, always ethically, but I feel like you have to still have those guardrails. And by having regulation, it does it keeps the franchise industry on the up and up, and everybody's hands are above the table. And we're really
Yep.
protecting not just the franchisee, but we're protecting ourselves as the franchisor because we're laying out the expectations on the table. They have everything up front. And
Right.
so it's all that hard work up front of getting that disclosure document done and having it done the right way that's going to pay off dividends for you long term, I think you're going to find. So I love to talk about challenges, mistakes we've made along the way, and you've been so transparent with me. Would you share maybe as you were running your business, what's maybe a challenge or an obstacle that you faced that you overcame and how you did it?
Hmm. I would say that in a business that works with a lot of people, I think that I've had to navigate who are the right people to have in place in different roles with the company. And
Mhm.
I think that at first it was a challenge trying to figure out who is that right person, who is going to protect the company. And also just, I even think about, I mean, my mind is going back to even COVID when there was that shutdown and suddenly getting 700 students on Zoom for music lessons
Oh,
overnight, so at least now I know that we are COVID proof or recession proof. So I'm excited about that. But I think that I've had a lot of hurdles along the way with day to day things and even just growing pains and really had to take a lot of time to figure out the answers and to make sure that I learned from those lessons that now I can pass on those lessons learned to others.
yeah. People won't have to make the same mistakes that we all made.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Um, in running a music school business, have you noticed over the 20 years any trends, anything that's really changed, and where do you see the music school industry going?
Yeah, I think that over the past several years, especially pre-COVID, I would hear people say that they think that everything's going to go online and that people are going to move to online platforms for music lessons. And there are a lot of companies that do offer virtual music lessons. But one thing that I have found is that parents do want their kids in the room with an instructor. They want a mentor there. They want to feel like they are giving their kids this great opportunity of being in-house. And so I
Mhm.
think that music lessons aren't going anywhere. I think in-person music lessons aren't going anywhere. And if anything, I see that there's a increase in parents who want to spend their money on giving their kids the best opportunities and education possible. So I think
Sure.
that we have a strong future.
I think you do too. And one of the things I can attest to in being in the child related business is that it is recession proof for sure. Moms and
Yes.
dads, we will not tell our kids that they can't take music lessons or art classes or play sports. We'll do without before we ever, not allow them to do one of those events, one of those programs for sure.
Absolutely. I feel the same as a mom.
Yes, yes. All right, Dr. Thomas. So, what is your long-term vision for the company? I know you must have a laid out plan.
Oh, I have a vivid vision of the company. And even though, and I really believe that this company will, God willing, outlive me and definitely a legacy brand. I would love 1,000 locations internationally one day, but I foresee that easily over the next 10 years that we'll have 150 locations here in the United States. And I'm looking forward to rolling out our programs everywhere and being able to give that opportunity, not just for us here in New York, but to bring New York arts and excellence all over the place to these people and giving them opportunities like Carnegie Hall, like all of these international shows and traveling around and red carpet experiences. So I'm excited about the impact we're going to make internationally.
That's beautiful. I already see that you realize that this business is bigger than you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What does that mean to you?
Um, well, for me, it's about changing lives on both the student level, the teacher level, as well as the franchisee level. I'll tell you, I was sitting and speaking to a potential franchisee last week, and to be able to have that opportunity to ask her, what does business ownership look like for you? And what do you see for your music school? And hearing her give the response of what she's looking to contribute to the community and the impact that she wants to make for music students, but also for her family. It brought such a great feeling. And I thought to myself, if I could do this every day for the rest of my life, this is what I want to do is help people see that through. And even down to our students. I'll use my youngest son as an example. When he was only 8 years old, he went to Carnegie Hall and performed as a beginner pianist. And fast forward about a month or 2 months later, he had to perform for an adjudication here in New York. And a teacher asked him, who he had never met, "Are you nervous?" And he said, "No, I've already performed at Carnegie Hall." So, and to be a fly on the wall and to hear that, it was a big aha moment for me because I was thinking, wow, that's what this is doing for our kids. We're giving them the skills and the confidence, not only to make an impact and to create great leaders, but to help them thrive not only on any stage, but really
Mhm.
in any stage of their life. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.